Good morning, boys and girls. Our CBAs are over. Yay! Now we just have a few more days until Christmas, and we're just going to finish out this next week and a half by doing some traditional literature. I love traditional literature. Traditional literature falls underneath the fiction because it's made up. Traditional literature is going to be our like fairy tales and folk tales and fantasy stories that some of you really like to read. Sometimes we have tall tales and legends, but we're really going to focus in on fairy tales, folk tales, and probably a little bit of fantasy over this next week and a half. We're going to try to pull in a bunch of Christmas books, but there's a couple days where I'm going to read some that aren't Christmassy, just so we can get a feel for that certain genre. So today, I'm not really reading out of a book. I have found some stories that are fairy tales, and it says folk tales, I think. Fairy tales and folk tales. And then the next video, we're going to really go into depth and talk about what makes a fairy tale a fairy tale. So, as we all know, it usually starts with once upon a time. Once upon a time, there was a sister and a brother who had lost their mother and father. They were sent to live with their grandmother who lived in the forest. They missed their mother and father very much. However, they were both very grateful for their grandmother's love and gave thanks every night before bed. What do you think the word grateful means? What do you think that means? I think that grateful probably means they're very thankful, and I know that because the words that said for their grandmother's love and gave thanks. So I know that grateful probably means like something that they are happy for. One night, the children heard their grandmother coughing and yelling out for them, "Children, children, I am very sick. Please run into town and get the doctor. I'm afraid I may die if he doesn't come right away." In order to keep their grandmother from dying, the children set off into the night to fetch the doctor. It was dark and it was cold. The full moon cast its glow over the fresh fallen snow. The children could see the tracks of rabbits and deer, but didn't know which way to go to town. What do you think it means when it says the full moon cast its glow? What do you think cast might mean? Yeah, like it put out a pretty glow, like it beamed out, shined out. As they began to fall into despair, they heard the ringing of bells. Santa Claus, thought the children, as they waited to see what was coming through the pine trees. So let's talk about if we were doing a plot chart with this story. We know the beginning, we find out that grandmother, they lost their parents and they would live with their grandmother, and it's Christmas time. The rise in action, we're starting to have a problem. So what is the problem of the story? The grandmother's gotten really sick and they have to go find the doctor. The old man an old man with a donkey appeared from the other side of the trees. "Good evening, young children. Where might you be off to at this time of night?" The old man had a kind face with a white beard. He had a jolly smile and seemed as harmless as a fly. What do we call it when it says he seemed as harmless as a fly? Right, that is a simile because it compared two things using like or as, and this one it used as. "Oh, sir, we are on our way to the village, but don't know the way. Our grandmother is sick and needs a doctor." "Well, now," started the old man with worry in his eyes, "I can take you to the doctor. Jump on this donkey and we'll be off." The children were told to never accept rides from strangers, but seeing that they didn't really have much of a choice, they went with their gut and jumped on the donkey. The old man whispered something to the donkey, and in the next instant they were lifting up into the air, gliding across the night sky. "Why, what is happening?" exclaimed the children. Are you really Santa?" "Ho, ho, ho," laughed the old man as they approached the town. Within seconds, the donkey landed just outside the doctor's door. "Children, your dedication and attentive to your grandmother is admirable. Here is the doctor's house. Run along and take him back to your grandmother." When the children and the doctor made it to their grandmother's house, they opened the door to find her sitting up in bed. "Children, I had the most peculiar dream. I dreamed that you met Santa Claus in the woods. When I woke, there were gifts under the tree. The children ran to the tree and tore open the gifts. Inside, they found a compass and a flashlight. There was also a note that said, "Dear children, here is a compass and a flashlight to help you find your way. If you ever need me, just follow the compass north until you hear bells. You shall never be in stress again." So if we had to say like the climax, like the most exciting turning point of the story was probably when they got on that donkey and it started flying. I think that the problem was probably solved, like the resolution of the story was when the children came home and their grandmother was healed. So that would have been the resolution, the solution to the problem. All right.